my heart, baby, carry go. If you leave me, baby, I could die. Natuna suni sisi kete kete wa. I'll cover footy tree, I know ya wese Nasimu dress my sorry. I'm penny was a man no church. Oh, me baby ni brownie, golden tree chocolate. Oh, me chow totally, each and every day I'll be hey. Oh la la, hey. Girl, I wanna be mine. Oh la la, yeah. Come try my lo. Oh la la, girl, I wanna be mine. Oh la yeah. Oh yeah. Baby, come try my oh my darling, Melissa, hey. Oh, Bernie, Melissa, it's some more watching, it's some more pizza, yeah. Oh, Bernie, Melissa, oh, my baby, Melissa, oh, Bernie, Melissa, it's some more watching, it's some more pizza, oh, Bernie, Melissa, say, good morning, you watching me, good morning. I'm sleep Joe. Good morning. I wanna sing for you this morning. Good morning. You watching me. Good morning. I'm sleep Joe. Good morning. I'm sing for you. Now this song is my original song. It's called Sister. So yeah, some of you might have heard it. If you've not, you Google it. The title is Sister. So let's do this. Hey. Go. Sister, yeah, sister. Been crying upon your sister. Who don't you know me now, sister? Turn up in his home, yeah, sister. Hey. Sister, yeah, sister, oh, been crying upon your sister. Who don't you know me now, baby? Set up in his home, yeah, sister. Hey, now so Peter, why don't you be? So Peter, what don't you be? When baby, pay what, pen be what? Such a pay, penny be. So Peter, why don't you be? So Peter, why don't you be? So be pay what, penny be. So Peter, for me to so Mamma Faka shows I swear. Yes, he kakakona me to the show. Let's see him, Mamma Kuma. For Dobabodom, the phantom for me down. My member one quite to gay. I'm quite sister, yeah, sister, I'm crying for you, baby. Who don't you know me, I'm always sweet. Tell up in his home, yeah, sister. Sister, yeah, sister, oh, I'm crying for you, sister. Who don't you know me, I'm always sister. Tell up in his home, yeah, sister. Baby, tom, who don't me touch my swag, keep me the power. Baby, husband. Said it's now what's up for me, Trinity. Adia, got your woman. Adia, got your woman. Just send me about go. Honey, dear woman. Honey, dear woman. Just send me about Sugar, dear woman. Sugar, dear woman. This I'm sister, yeah, sister. Been crying about your sister.
Good morning. And welcome to Breakfast Daily. Yeah, today is Wednesday. It's a beautiful day. and we're excited to be here. My name is David Kwekusechi.
And I am Jifa Ikea Amatam. Thank you so much for staying with us and spending your morning with us. Don't forget that it's an interactive show, so wherever you're watching us from, we would love to hear from you. So use the hashtag Breakfast Dailies for us to read what you're thinking.
Yes, and the WhatsApp line is 05505-85832. Please send us WhatsApp messages. If you happen to be outside Ghana, kindly use the country code +233.
Yeah, and we're almost done with week 3 of the lockdown.
Yeah.
I think people are complying. The only people I see outside are the keep fit.
Yeah.
Keep fit people. That's about it.
Yeah, but those numbers are growing in different localities, you know, so I think it's a little bit of a concern for me because what's happening is that you're seeing the, you know, people growing impatience, you know, amongst people. Sometimes I understand, and there are different categories of people out there. So there are those who are frustrated because they're not making any money, right? And then there are those who are frustrated just because they're just bored, you know, and really those are the challenges. When I was coming this morning, there were no police checkpoints the entire way. Yesterday was very different. Yesterday I came across maybe 6-7 major checkpoints, and every checkpoint we're turning vehicles back. You know, so I'm not sure what the strategy is, but that's just my experience. This was the Achimota to Circle stretch. All the way right through to Circle to the office, there was not a single checkpoint. I think the last one at the Vienna City, there were policemen there, but they were not checking any vehicles, you know. So I'm not exactly sure what the strategy is. And I didn't leave at dawn. I just, you know, it was 6 a.m. I was coming in. So I'm not so sure what's going on there. But
I saw a lot of them turning, yesterday after work, a lot of the police people were turning cars away. Like they wouldn't even wait to see your ID card. They would just tell you, just go the other direction. But I know I was joking about the keep fit thing, but it's really important that you guys stop doing that, because I've seen people on the road, you know, holding each other's hands, holding each other's feet, doing the little cute things. You are going to transfer the virus to yourselves because you are not, you know, respecting social distancing. And there's a reason why we all have to stay home, because there's a high probability that some of us could be asymptomatic. So just because I'm not coughing, I'm not sneezing, I'm not showing any of the signs and symptoms, does not mean that I'm not positive. So me joining your Keep Fit Club, touching every single member there, they're going to join another club the next day to touch other people. Even if you're not touching anyone, just stay home. We're going to get through this, but the last thing we want to do is continue increasing the numbers, because people who are supposed to know better, that's the sad thing. The people who are exercising out there are highly educated. They know they shouldn't do it, but they continue to do it. And we cannot continue to frustrate our police and our soldiers. They are there because of us. Do you think they wouldn't want to stay at home with their family? Do you think they want to stay in the sun from morning till evening, making sure that we are safe, educating us? The least we can do is to not frustrate their work for them. I heard yesterday that there's some communities where the police will have you sit with them till 5 o'clock. We are not kids. There's a reason the president said we should stay home. So I beg you, stay home. You can do the exercise with your family within the confines of your home. There's no reason to be jogging all about Accra and all about Kumasi. We get it. You are bored. But let's comply so that we can all be done with this lockdown. Because if we continue spreading it, the lockdown will be extended. Because part of the lockdown is to actually contain the spread. So if more of us get it, they'll continue keeping us at home, and that's exactly what we don't want.
Well, every day we start with the quote of the day. Let's just take a look at that, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation on the COVID-19 updates. All right, so the quote of the day today is from Bill Keane, who was a cartoonist. He said, "Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is the gift of God. That's why we call it the present." You know, that's a beautiful quotation there. We call today the present because it's a gift given to us by God. You know, and I think it's important for all of us to remember to make the most of today. Yesterday is past. Tomorrow is still a mystery. We're not sure what lies out there for us tomorrow. But today, God has given you and I a gift. Let's make the most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So we can take a look at the updates
on the numbers.
On the numbers, yeah. Right now we are 636.
Yeah.
Yeah.
636, right? And this time yesterday we were at 566, and the 566, the breakdown was Greater Accra had 452, Ashanti 49, Eastern 32, Northern 10, Volta 9, Upper West 7, Upper East 4, Northeast 1, Western 1, and Central 1. But as it stands now, yesterday afternoon, we learned that that number had gone up to 636. The breakdown, Greater Accra alone has 509 cases. Ashanti region has gone up from 49 yesterday to 53. We have Eastern region has gone up to 41, and yesterday Eastern was 32.
Yeah.
Northern region is still 10. Volta region has gone up by 2, so that is Northwest region is still 9. Sorry. Upper West is still 7. Upper East is still 4. Western is 1. Central is 1, and Northeast is 1. Now, the interesting case about this 636 number is that only 30% of those people actually had a travel history. So 70% are people who have no history of travel. So it means that the community case is growing stronger, and it's increasing beyond the travel cases. Because when we initially heard about coronavirus, people thought, oh, it's a bugger disease. If I stay away from the rich people and mingle amongst my peers, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But now we are learning that the imported cases are just 30%, while the community cases with people with no travel history are at 70%. So it's really important that we pay attention. The other regions are going up. It's not just Greater Accra anymore. Kumasi is going up. Kumasi has now made it to the 50s. You know, Eastern is now in the 40s. Accra is going crazy, 509. Now, it's not a death sentence. The good thing about what we are doing is, if you detect it early, we can treat it. Majority of the cases are still very mild. We have 17 people who have recovered.
Yeah.
So it's great news. The last thing we want to do is continue stigmatizing people, because then they will hide. And when they hide and they are asymptomatic, they will spread, and the whole thing will go like wildfire. So we shouldn't be so concerned when we hear that the numbers are going up. We know that they will go up and then they will eventually come down. But the most important thing is for all of us to practice a bit more emotional intelligence, be a bit more empathetic. If you find out someone is positive, don't act differently. Be there for them, right? And we're all going to get through this, but we need to stop going out so that we can contain the spread.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why we have the lockdown. And it's important for us to follow the restrictions of the lockdown. As we said earlier on, there's no point in, going up and down, doing, your jogging, and it's not a time to just randomly say, let me go for a walk because I'm just bored, out of my mind. So, you can see some images of the situation with the lockdown. Police vehicles, people in town in different communities, empty streets largely, but then you see some people milling about, within their communities. I think it's a very important thing to remember that whatever it is, the way Accra is structured, whatever it is that you need, by and large, in terms of daily upkeep and and so on, you can find within your community. So there's no need to go across town. I had a case of somebody who wanted to go all the way to ShopRite in Accra Mall because they were going to buy a lot of things and it was cheaper. Can't you find some in your neighborhood? Yes, I can, but it's cheaper at Accra Mall. That's why I want to go to Accra Mall. Yeah. That's defeating the purpose, and it means there's a lack of understanding of what this whole lockdown is about. And the police are cracking down, so it's important to make sure that you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law.
And the police, they are not kidding, right? 406 people have been arrested. 106 of them are currently in police custody. If you do not obey the laws now, you can pay a fine of 12,000 Ghana cedis to 60,000 Ghana cedis. So they are not playing anymore. And there's no reason for us to get arrested for disobeying something that's meant to protect us. We've heard cases in other countries where one person who is positive but didn't know was positive spread it to over 1,000 people because they are going to eat buffet, they are going here, they are doing this, touching everybody. Those people are also spreading it. So all these things are meant to protect us. There's no reason for you to get arrested, for you to be in police custody, for you to pay 12,000 cedis that you may need to keep your family afloat, since a lot of us are not employed anymore. There's no reason to get yourself in trouble. Just stay at home. And imagine, just think to yourself that, let me assume I'm positive.
Yeah.
The people I love the most, I wouldn't want to pass it on to them because, God forbid, they have some pre-existing health conditions that they are not aware of. Then you've directly contributed to messing them up. Because we know that if you don't have a strong immune system, chances of surviving is not that positive.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what pre-existing health conditions the people you love the most may have. You don't want that. You don't want to come up and say, okay, I went to my grandmother's birthday party, I went to my father's, get together, and I've spread it to my entire family. And you can't use ignorance as an excuse because every single day we tell you that there are people who are asymptomatic, which means they have no symptoms, they will show no signs, but they are positive. And until we're able to test the entire country, until we are all able to know our status, it's safe for us to behave as though we could be positive. That way we protect people from ourselves. And it's also good for us to pretend that the people around us may be positive, so we protect ourselves from them. That's why in the beginning we said, keep a distance from people who show signs and symptoms, but now we're saying keep a distance from everybody, point blank, period.
Yeah.
Because some people may be asymptomatic, and that's why we're saying put on a face mask when you're walking out. You don't want to be around someone coughing, sneezing, and you catch it.
Yeah.
So again, the police have been going around arresting people. We're going to take a look at what's going on and hopefully learn from it so we don't end up like these people.
However, there are definitely a good number of people who are recalcitrants. People are leaving their homes. People are still having parties. People are going to the beaches. People are having weddings, which are clearly in violation of what the Imposition of Restrictions Act is. So for these recalcitrant people who are failed to comply, the message is that you are going to be dealt with in accordance with the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2012. Such persons have been arrested. After successful investigations, they are being prosecuted. The breakdown is as follows. So far around the country, 406 persons have been arrested. 103 are in custody. 248 have been granted bail, and 41 have been processed.
All right, so you see there, ACP Lydia Donkos telling us, they've given us a breakdown of what it is the police have been doing and why they're doing what they're doing. It's very important that we pay attention to this. I think that a lot of the times what we fail to understand is that there's a bigger picture at the end of the day. We're trying to achieve something in a certain given period of time. We don't want to be here in December dealing with this. It has to end and end soon. And so if we're able to get on top of it, then we can all go back to our lives, But if we keep flouting and all of the rest, then the chances of it prolonging beyond unnecessarily, it's going to happen. All right, but good news also is that we have some recoveries. As Jaffa mentioned earlier on, we have 17 people that have recovered. But beyond that, let me just do a quick breakdown. So we have 17 people who are fully recovered, right? Now, to be fully recovered means that you have 2 negative tests results, two negative results, all right, from your test. So basically what happens is that once you're tested positive and they're treating you, when you test negative the first time, you are on the road to, being fully recovered. But then you have to before they release you that you're fully recovered, you have to have a second negative test. After the second one, you're good to go. So we have 17 of those who have done their second negative test and they're good to go. But there's 66 others who've actually got a first negative test and they are waiting to do the second one. And then, so the recoveries are good. And let's take a look at this from the Ghana Health Service.
Currently, we have a definition of recovered as those who are positive and has recorded 2 consecutive negatives. And that's what becomes that you can claim that you are cured. Currently, we have 83 people in that category who have, a significant number have tested the first negative, but we have about 17 who have recorded double negatives that are obviously clinically cured, and that's quite good. We also have about, out of this number, we have about 208 who are well asymptomatic or in the mild condition and being treated at home and isolation centers. Currently, we have only 2 critically ill people in the hospital with 10 deaths. So like I said, we have about 17 who have tested double negative, and so they are completely cured. We will monitor them, obviously. With 66 of them who have tested the first negative and we are waiting for the second test, the chances are that they will all be negative again. We have treatment centers in all regions. Ashanti has, Konfanoche, Kumasi South, Obuasi, Bekwai has cases. In Accra we have Gan East, 37, Rage, Tema, UGMC, Nyaho Clinic.
All right, so you heard there the Director General of the Ghana Health Service giving us a breakdown. The good thing, as he was ending there, is talking about the different places where we now have facilities to take care of, and every region has a facility now to take care of cases, which is a very important thing for us. So let me just quickly go through some of these numbers for us. So a total, as at Thursday, sorry, not Thursday, as at on the 13th rather, which was Monday, we had a total of 44,421 persons that had been tested, and out of that we got the number 636 being tested positive. Now, of course, so what we're doing is that we're just adding on to the case numbers, right? But the active cases are now 611. The active cases are 611. So basically what it means is that we've subtracted those who have passed on, unfortunately, and then also those who have recovered. So we have 611 active ongoing cases now as we speak. Okay. There are 2 people who are categorized as moderate to severe cases. All right. We don't have anyone in critical yet. All right. We don't have anybody in critical state yet. All right. So we just hope and pray that it stays that way. And those who are in moderate to severe cases will, revert to starting to recover as well. Yes, and so basically what we're looking at is there's also an interesting figure there, interesting proportions there. We can see in one of the pie charts, there are more males that have been affected by COVID-19 than females. Okay, so 59% males out of the 636, there's 59% males and 41% females. Now, I've been wondering, about these numbers, and Jifa, I have a suspicion as to why this is the case.
Okay.
I think that is, if you look at the incidence of driving, for example, okay, driving accidents. the majority of accidents that are driver-to-driver accidents, right, you'll find that the statistics show that there are more males involved than females, right? And I think that this is all to do with a certain mindset, of maybe carelessness, recklessness, a bit of foolhardiness there too, where it's the feeling that I'm good, I'm fine, I'm fit, I'm healthy, nothing's going to happen. And so when the general instruction is to socially distance, wash your hands, sanitize, all of those things, guess what? Out of the two different genders, it looks as though the men may be less likely to pay attention to the details than the ladies. I don't know. Well,
but some other people might also say that the men may be reporting themselves, because at least in Ghana we know that the case of the runaway positive case was a woman.
Yes, but that was out of fear, right?
Yes, so people might not go and report themselves as having the symptoms, and so I don't know. That's my reason. But in all, we have two choices. We can either become an Iceland, we can become one of those countries that stayed on top of things, did what we were supposed to do. In other parts of the world, it's a privilege to even be able to get tested. We have that option in this country where if you suspect that you are positive, or if someone mentions you as their contact, you can get tested. Let's take full advantage of it, because we've seen developed countries like the US pay the price. And these are countries we look to. These are countries some of our leaders go to when they have health problems, because our infrastructure is nothing to write home about. So if these same countries that the elites run to are struggling because they didn't stay on top of things early enough, you only need to look at what's going on in Latin America to see what potentially lies ahead if we don't do the right thing. And we won't be able to solve this problem if it gets out of hand. And the last thing we want to do is overwhelm our mortuary workers, keep dead bodies in our homes. And I'm not even saying this to scare anyone, but it's a fact that other countries are experiencing this. Even developed countries are struggling. And the only thing that they failed to do in all of this is to take it very seriously when at the very beginning, set in place preventive measures. They took a lot of things for granted, and now they are paying the price. We have the luxury of learning from their experiences. We have leaders who have committed to testing a lot of people. So let's just comply. Let's just stay home. And then when this is all over, we will still have our lives. That's the most important thing in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you said it all. Up next is the news review segment. My name is David Kwekusechi.
And I am Jifa Ekia Amatam. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Agriculture is the backbone of Ghana. For the prosperity of the Ghanaian economy, it is imperative for the youth to develop interest in agriculture. The Living Fields Agri-Challenge provides the opportunity to train and develop the next top agribusiness entrepreneurs. For this maiden edition, we have 12 contestants, 4 production groups. Economic viable and market-oriented vegetables will be cultivated. At least 4 agribusiness startups. Over 300,000 Ghana cedis worth of amazing prizes to be won at the end of the Agri Challenge. Living Fields Agri Challenge is proudly sponsored by media partners. Powered by PB Studios.
Living Fields Agri Challenge every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on City TV.
Say hello to convenience. Say hello to the new ECG mobile app, ECG Power. Now you can buy electricity easily, pay conveniently, monitor your consumption, check your meter balance, and more anytime, anywhere. Start enjoying the convenience of ECG your electricity. Make inquiries and complaints hash on your NAN's convenience in your hands.
Public note: the spread of COVID. The ECG mobile app to help reduce the numbers visiting our premises. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. It's time for us to do the news review. Let me just go through the front page of the dailies that we have, and then I will introduce my guest to you. We'll do some online stories as well. All right, so on the front page of the Daily Post, we have Akufo-Addo pastors in plot to have December election postponed. Mahama supports 20,000 households with food items. Fanfare to launch COVID-19 tracker app nonsensical, says Okujeto Ablakwa. On the front page of the New Crusading Guide, $4.5 million energy scandal unfolds. Politicians, former Goldman Sachs banker fingered. Brian Champon gives back to Eastern region, supports COVID-19 fight with 821,000 Ghana cedis. Kingdom Exim stands tall in cashew sector. Fadi's food train feed over 2,000 vulnerable under lockdown. Consider herbal medicine. Amin Bonsu challenges government. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, $1 billion drops Friday. This is from the IMF. COVID-19 won't stall cocoa syndication loan. This is from the Cocoa Board. Zoom Lion rolls out school disinfection program. COVID-19, not death sentence, stop stigmatization. This is from the Health Service boss. 406 defiant citizens arrested. All right, and then it says here Goldfields supports COVID-19 fight with $830,000. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, IMF approves $1 billion for Ghana to support COVID-19 combat. Zoom Lion launches nationwide SHS fumigation exercise. Scores beseech Kwame Nkrumah Circle, National Theatre for food. Police arrest 406 persons over lockdown offenses. All right, let's do some online stories. Go to citynewsroom.com. And on citynewsroom.com, we have start voter registration exercise in places not under lockdown. This is Sam Okujeto to EC. COVID-19, find other ways to compile new register, the CDD urges EC. TUC cancels 2020 May Day celebration over COVID-19 outbreak. MPP suspends parliamentary primaries indefinitely amidst COVID-19 scare. Nigerians who tested positive for COVID-19 refused treatment at Ga East Hospital. And on citybusinessnews.com, it will cost us dearly if we misuse $1 billion IMF loan. Edusa Kodie urges efficiency. First National Bank cuts interest rates by 2% to alleviate impact of COVID-19. COVID-19, government gives MTN, Vodafone free spectrum for 3 months to meet data needs. Guta leadership demands to play a role in disbursement of 600 million Ghana cedi SME loans. Ghana can take advantage of COVID-19 to boost local production. This is from KPMG. And on BBC.com, Malawi declares 21-day coronavirus lockdown. U.S. to halt funding to WHO, says Trump. All right, so for more news, kindly visit citynewsroom.com, and for more business news, visit citybusinessnews.com. Welcome back, and we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations this morning. It's going to be a special news review segment because we're going to be dealing more with psychosocial issues, especially stigmatization and the whole COVID-19, what's going on different fronts, but mainly talking about the issues of the psychology behind all the things that are happening and how we should behave ourselves and, make sure that we come out of this as better people at the end of the day. Well, I have been joined, one of my guests is Dr. Amma Edwin. She's a member of the National Expert Advisory Group on Psychosocial Issues. All right, so good morning, Amma.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. Let me just ask, just briefly, how do you feel about where we are now on an individual level?
So it has nothing to do with being on the advisory board. It has nothing to do
We'll
with
get into all of
working
that.
at
But
that.
just
But
you
my,
as a person.
my personal view. I think that we really, I get the sense, or since you use feeling, and I'm trying to be in touch with my feelings.
Yes.
I think that we are really not taking this as serious as we can.
Okay.
There's still too many people in town, and I don't know whether they don't understand that the more you stay home, the less your chances of getting an infection are. But it's the usual Ghanaian attitude, to put it this way, you know, that kind of attitude. But I think that we have an opportunity to really flatten the curve and change direction. But if we don't come on board and we have to let the police or military chase people, that can create problems. So it's really in our hands, and I just want us to take this fight seriously. That's my sense. But sometimes I get sad, sometimes I get frustrated, sometimes I'm like, don't they get it?
Yeah.
That's the question I ask myself, but maybe they don't. So,
Okay, so I have issues as well, because every morning I look at the way the roads are as I drive to work, and then I'm asking myself, maybe 100 meters from my house, there's a very popular gathering point for those who are keeping fit, and they insist on it, but I just wonder because there's no.
They go to the gym, or is an open space?
No, it's an open space, but they are there and they're, how this in pairs, they're helping each other work out, and it's very uncomfortable for me. But why would people endanger their lives in this way? Or they don't see danger?
Yes, so basically you look at it, this is a neighborhood, this is the place you always work. I don't think they feel that they are at risk. You see, initially, because of the way the cases were, those who had traveled and contacts of people who had traveled, so some people felt, it's not going to get me, I'm not in that class.
Okay.
But now we have community spread. we have people who are asymptomatic who haven't been picked up. We have people who can even shed when they are pre-symptomatic before the symptoms even come. So I think that the way to do it is to assume that, yes, you may be at risk. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it.
Yeah.
But when you know that this can happen to you, you take steps.
Yeah.
You take steps to deal with it, and when it doesn't happen, you don't lose anything.
Okay.
But to think that this is so far away from you and the typical Ghanaian thing, "Tofiakwa, this won't happen to me," and then we end up being careless.
Yeah.
That really is. It's good to exercise, but I don't think they should meet. I mean, the numbers, maybe 1 or 2 people working for together, one ahead to the other, maybe 2 or 3 meters behind, just so you have the company. That's okay, but to congregate, to say that you are exercising.
I mean, in my area is at least 60, 70 people. You know, I'm talking. Yeah, I'm not joking at all. It's a whole
that's
lot of
wrong.
people. Yeah, it's a whole lot of people.
That is wrong.
And I know this is beginning to pop up in different parts of the city. You know, where people are feeling like, you know what, we're just so bored. You might as well just, you know.
Yes, so that is that people are bored, people are frustrated, especially men who don't spend a lot of time at home anyway. So to be locked down without having a plan, I think generally, I may be wrong, but women tend to spend more time at home. Even when you are working, you come home, there's still things we're doing. So they're able to ease into the lockdown a lot more than the men. And it's creating problems. In fact, one of the challenges that we are having that is coming up is increased domestic violence and intimate partner violence. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and it is not only in Ghana. In fact, the UN put out a statement there because it is coming up, and so countries need to make sure that there are measures in place. So is DOFSU resource to handle the increased violence? Because before you spend maybe morning an hour to you rush off, you come in the evening, there's not much time, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, you're going to bed. But now you are home, you feel caved in, you are more irritable, you're more anxious, the least thing can set you up. So if you are prone to violence, you realize that you tend to do that. And then the children, I mean, I know that I realize that I think I'm shouting a bit more than, so then I have to bring myself down and say, this has nothing to do with my stress in the midst of all this, and I'm dumping. So at least I'm aware. But a lot of these things can lead to, what's the word? Inappropriate ways of coping. So where someone has the prone to violence behavior, is already abusive, physically, verbal, even sexual, the setting is more appropriate for that to happen because they don't seem to have an outlet. People may be drinking more, people may be using drugs more, and even people who have mental health challenges. They are a risk group we need to address because the stress level is generally up. So if you're someone who in the past has been diagnosed with maybe a major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or any other, you need to realize that you are at an increased risk and get in touch with your healthcare provider so that they can help you manage your stress level, cope appropriately, take your medication.
I would definitely want us to delve in at the very end on the whole, mental health side of things. But let's move on with the news stories that we have here. The management of the Wale Wale Municipal Hospital in the Northeast region has instituted a committee to investigate the disputed claims by the family of a young man who reportedly died of COVID-19 at the hospital. 7 of the deceased's relatives are among some 40 persons who have been quarantined for coming close to him prior to his death. But correspondent Maxwell Sook reports that the family insists that the man died of asthma and not COVID-19. We have an insight for you. We'll take a look at it in just a little bit. But this story could it be more typical
So, you know, asthma is a respiratory disease. The virus affects the respiratory system. It affects other systems, the heart. Now we're getting to know more. But the main presentation, that's why we talk about coughing and sneezing and difficulty breathing. Asthma is also a disease that affects your respiratory system. So if someone has asthma, is what we call a comorbidity, is a risk factor to severe disease. So if you expose two people the same dose of the virus or the same amount of the disease, let me put it that way, one has asthma, the other doesn't have anything. All things being equal, the one with a history of asthma is more likely to have a severe disease than the one without history of asthma, just because already your lung is compromised. And I don't know the level of control the asthma was. So based on that, even if your asthma was well controlled, the same thing happens with diabetes and heart disease and all of that. So yes, maybe if they say he died of asthma, that the end point, the process, the pathophysiology, if I can put it that way, what eventually killed him may have been an asthmatic attack. But the fact that he had COVID will make it worse. So it is still a death from COVID-19, unfortunately, because it impacted that. I bet this is not the first time this young man has, or is it a boy? A young man has had asthma before or being admitted, but because it is an underlying factor that can make him getting COVID-19 worse, we can't rule that out. So if they want to say that he died of asthma and not of COVID-19, I don't have any problem with that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he had tested positive for COVID-19, and that would have influenced the cause of his asthma and eventual outcome or death.
Wow. Now, you are a clinical psychologist.
Yes, and a bioethicist.
Okay. What's that?
Which one, the bioethics?
Both of them. I want
so physician, so my primary, I'm a medical doctor. I finished medical school 1994, so actually 26 years ago. And then I did clinical psychology. And I did a doctor of bioethics. Bioethics has to do with the ethical issues in healthcare or biomedicine. So typically now, you know, a lot of countries, resources, we have a fixed number of ventilators. Who gets the ventilator and who doesn't get it? That's an ethical issue. Those are the sort of questions you're having, a patient's family. So even what you talked about, the argument about did he die from COVID or did he die from COVID-19 or did he die from asthma? There are ethical issues involved. So you are a journalist, you have your code of ethics. Every profession has to do with ethics. So my role is to make sure that as physicians, as healthcare providers, we are practicing our profession the way we are supposed to practice, looking at patients right, making sure patients have parts in decision making, making sure that we do the right thing, the ethics of the profession, really, basically that.
Are there, looking at the bioethics aspect, are there already situations where you find that there are breaches of ethics that may have come up?
Regarding COVID-19 or general?
Yes, regarding COVID-19, not general, regarding COVID-19.
Oh yes, there are some. There are some, but I cannot talk to you.
No, I don't need specifics or details. I'm just asking. So, if you can give us like scenarios and possible scenarios, and then how do we deal with these?
I think one of the challenges that those of us, so I work at UGMC. UGMC is an isolation center, right? So we have patients there that we are seeing. The doctors there are managing. We get support from national and other things. But one of the challenges that a lot of doctors who are practicing in this area find is territory. So before, working at UGMC, and for years I worked at Kolibu and then went to UHAS to teach, but now I'm at UGMC currently. My role would be limited to seeing patients in UGMC.
Okay.
But now, because of that, so sometimes you get called to see patients in other hospitals. If you go and everything is fine, it's not an issue. But the crosses, sometimes you get other people coming in, and then the boundaries and the territories, and everybody has an interest, but at the end, you see, I always say that when things go right, there's no issue. But when things go wrong, that's when people ask, did he have the registration here? Was he supposed to do this? Was he so boundaries, professional boundaries in terms of the space in which we practice it is becoming fluid. And for most people, we're okay because it's a bigger umbrella. But sometimes you take pause and you wonder, really, what's going on? And if anything goes wrong, am I covered? So these are some of the things. It's not a major issue for the everyday things that we're doing. But now, what I'm actually seeing, the ethical issues we are going to have is if we need more people on ventilators. Yes, there's a protocol who gets it. I don't know whether you're familiar with the God Committee in Seattle. In fact, a movie was supposed to come out in April. So this started in the 60s when US decided to do dialysis for patients who needed dialysis. So they had a few machines. It started in Seattle. How do you decide? Do we say that because David is a journalist and he has a profession and he needs us, he's reaching people, it's better to give it to him than, let's say, a Kaya Yo or a Kaya Ye living somewhere in Abu Blushi or any place? How do you make that decision? So a committee was put together to do that, and they were called, the nickname was the God Committee, because people felt they were really being God, and then ultimately minorities and poorer people didn't get to have dialysis. So it is good now that we don't have a lot of people needing ventilator care to have those policies. They are in place, and most doctors don't want to make this bedside decision. What I want to do is a doctor is that if I know that this person would benefit from ICU care, I recommend it, and the person in charge of ICU can do his job. I don't want to have to choose between Kofi Mensah and Adjoa Manai to what are the weights? Ultimately, it's not about status in life, but it's about the best chance of recovery. So you may even have a case where a prominent person, or let me even stick to my profession, a medical person needs ventilator, but the person is so far gone in the disease that the chances of recovery are much lower than, let's say, a head porter who also needs that, but all things being equal. These are tough decisions that we need to make. So, but thankfully, I know that policies are there, and I hope we won't get there, but when we get there, we will do it.
All right, then let's take a look at that story from Tamale.
Hours of in-camera meeting with various stakeholders within the West Mamposi municipality for a determination of the matter ended inconclusively. Monday's meeting was held to listen to the side of the hospital in the ongoing brouhaha on the bereaved family's rejection of the results that suggest their son died from the coronavirus. The family of the deceased has publicly rejected the results conducted by the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research in Tropical Medicine. The family insists there was an error. The chairman of the committee, who is the municipal chief executive for West Mamposi, Awemiyao Sumolaki, said more investigations will be done to bring finality to the matter.
I have told the medical superintendent, I will not shield anybody. If you are at fault, I will bring you out. Because the life of the people should not be played with. I have spoken to him, and I'm also going to appeal to the people to be patient with them, so that at least when they are patient and bring out their grievances, we could, resolve the problems amicably without letting it go beyond control. At the point that I will consider the voice of the people is when our allegations or the allegations have been proven that what they are saying about the team is indeed what is happening. Besides that, there are other professionals who can also interrogate what the management is doing, and that is the people I am relying on. That is outside both the management and the people. If I get people who are more into that, those who have the technical know-how, They know that when this person was supposed to be given this, they gave him this, which means that it was wrongly applied. But you and I, who don't have the background, how can we defend that? So that is where I am now targeting. As I told you, I have a team that is underground. We're investigating, and inshallah, we are coming out with the results. And inshallah, I will never hide anything from the general public.
The emergency ward of the hospital has been closed down until further notice, according to Benjamin Tayose, a general nurse at the hospital. But why is the family challenging the results? I put that question to Ibrahim Al-Hassan, a direct uncle of the deceased.
Give us a date who does not consult with the very date that we send the deceased body person to the hospital, because the date was 4th. That the sample took on the 4th, and the disease body was sent to the hospital on the 6th. So you see that there's difference. So we are saying that is not our report. They should give us our report, and that is all. But we are abiding by all the rules and regulations. Some are even quarantined. They came and took the samples. We are ready to abide by all the rules.
7 members of the family have been on mandatory quarantine. Ibrahim Al-Hassan says the family will issue an independent report at the end of the 14-day quarantine period.
We are coming out with a family report. Yes, we are working on that. Our problem is that we are waiting for the 14 days to come. You see, without 14 days, I don't think we can contact. We will have a close contact with people, not us, but the family. I'm also among the family, but because I didn't even. So the problem is that we are waiting, and this is now the 9th day. So I hope it's left with 5 days. So these 5 days, when they have taken the sample. So we are waiting for the sample. I hope if the sample comes negative, then the whole world will prove them wrong. Because if they are closely contact with the body and it has been proven negative, I think the story will look different. So that is what we are waiting for. We don't want to rush into things.
The family of the deceased is facing stigmatization after news circulated about the supposed cause of death of their relation. Idris Rafia is an auntie of the deceased.
So I went outside this afternoon with my elder sister, because they knew where we are coming from. People were pointing fingers at us that we are the disease aunties. So the DT asked us to quarantine ourselves, and then we refused. So people who knew us, even were my colleagues who came before they announced the virus at the air. A lot of my friends, they refused to come here because of what they told them. Even colleagues that I have outside, because today is the 7 days, they were supposed to be with me, but due to what they heard.
All right, so that was a report filed by our Northeast correspondent, Maxwell Sook, on stigmatization in Wale. Dr. Amma Edwin,
yes,
what are your thoughts? What can we learn from this?
Well, they're talking about dates not adding up and all of that. I'm not really privy to the documents, so. But what he said something that actually struck me, that if at the end of the period they are negative, then it means that their boy didn't have COVID-19. It doesn't mean that necessarily. Because remember earlier on I talked about this, so there's a period where one is contagious or one is infectious. You can infect other people. For some people, we know that even before they show symptoms, they can infect others or they can spread the virus. So that's why we talk about pre-symptomatic, so before symptoms. Then you have those who have maybe been tested, they are positive, all right, but they don't have any symptoms. They are not coughing, they are not having a fever, no difficulty in breathing, no sneeze, none of the symptoms. It doesn't mean that they can't spread. They can spread. Then you also have those who are sick. In fact, I always say that those who are really sick are not the things that what we know now, but the fact that someone...
Dr. Edwin, don't lose your train of thought. I'll come back to you. We need to take a short break. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
There is no promise we cannot keep. There is no commitment we cannot honor. There is no delivery we cannot guarantee. There is only one Bethel Logistics Company Limited, a licensed international freight forwarding and clearing agent, a trusted global brand with an extensive network for the movement of air freight and ocean freight worldwide. We are the trusted name for road freight into Western and Northern Africa. We are fully accredited by Ghana Customs and Excise. We cater for all your freight forwarding, customs clearing and forwarding, cross trades, inland transportation, internal cargo tracking systems, customer freight costing and consultancy, cold chain logistics management, logistics and warehousing, quality inspection, and much more. In Accra, Tema, and Takrady, we are always available to ensure easy movement of cargo countrywide. Call us on 0204 528 900 or 0244 707 859. Email info@bethellogistics.com. Locate us in Accra at North Ridge, adjacent Accra Girls High School, or in Tema at Community 4, or in Takrady on the second floor of the GCB building. Website bethellogistics.com. Bethlog, experts in shipping logistics.
Welcome back from that break. My guest is Dr. Amma Edwin, who is a physician, clinical psychologist, and a bioethicist. Yeah, I needed to do that correctly. Okay.
Well, you didn't need to mention all of that, actually.
So remember the hashtag is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. Kindly keep your messages coming. Now, some of your messages have already come in, so let me just quickly read a few of the messages out, and then we'll continue the conversation. Good morning, City TV. We also want to experience the lockdown or have mass testing because many people have run into our district, so our lives are in danger. This is Skin Pain from KJB District. That's serious. Okay. I'm sure the authorities are listening to you. So, Nana Nkoso Hene Ako from East Legon says, hunger virus is worse than coronavirus. The nation is sitting on a time bomb. People are hungry at home. They don't want handouts. They just want to return to work and earn a living. Earning a living is more honorable than being reduced to a beggar and killed by hunger. Even almighty America, with almost 500,000 infections, is planning on reopening its economy. If this lockdown is extended, there may be a catastrophe. Reopen the country now. All right, so I'll have your comment on that, what you think about that one in just a little bit. Let me read a couple more messages. Please stay home and obey all COVID-19 pandemic protocols. social distancing, frequent washing of hands, the use of sanitizers. God be with His Excellency and the Minister. This is from Leviticus Powers in Kasua. Last one here says, hello, I'm Stephen from Tema. The major issue now is the duration for the results to be ready. I have been tested for 2 weeks. I've been tested 2 weeks ago, and my result is still not yet in. We're pretending all is well and under control, but really it's not. Okay. What do you think about the messages? Any of them come out to you, jump out to you?
So the results, the turnover, it's a problem for all of us. Health workers, frontline workers, people who have been tested. It's because now the numbers have increased, and so the testing centers have become inundated with the numbers. But yesterday at the press briefing, we learned that more centers are coming on board. So hopefully with more centers being available, we'll get a higher turnover. But I want to comment on the one that says that the hunger virus is worse than COVID-19. The essence of a lockdown is to flatten the curve. We've all heard about flattening the curve. So let me give a graphic illustration. Imagine you have, let's say, 250 kilograms of rice bag stacked together, or maybe side by side, and you want to pack it, but you realize that your space to do that is not available. But so you have a limited container that can't take the two, you can't cover it. But when you pour out the rice, it spreads out, and then you are able to get space and capacity. So your capacity, which was the container to take the 250 kilogram bags of rice as it is now in the sacks and cover it, was low. But when you spread it out, you were able to get space and cover it. So the essence of a lockdown, and even in countries with more robust health systems than us, is to make sure that you spread, you taper it, so that your health system can handle it. Because if the numbers become overwhelming, I mean, my hospital, the number yesterday, I don't even know whether it's gone up because I haven't been there today. We're having to put up a new facility. So we have a limited number. We need to make sure that the health system can handle the increased number. I'm not being a prophet of doom, but the numbers are going to go up because we are testing more. The fact that the numbers are going up, it doesn't mean that it's getting worse. We would rather know those who have it, we isolate it, we quarantine the contest, we get them the right treatment, than to leave it. So the lockdown is difficult for everybody, and for some people it is worse. But I think that if we don't do it right and we say business as usual, you know, we have a huge informal sector. Go to any of our markets, from Abublushi through Kaneshi to Ashaiman to Fadama. I mean, crowds. So imagine it getting there. And now it's in some of our communities that are overcrowded. So the essence of the lockdown is to make sure that we control it. So we are spreading it out. It's not to say that once you lock down, the numbers won't go up or no. But it's that's why I gave the example of the rice, the capacity to not take the sacks as it sounds, but then when you open, you spread it out, you see that it takes it. So we needed to be able to get the health system on top of it. It is tough, but I think that it will be worse if we get to the point where people are dying like Italy and it becomes a huge thing. Then you realize that you'd rather be hungry. You can go without food for a month and not die.
Yeah, it's true.
So we need to look at that and know that the people at the forefront know what we are doing. Some of the measures are tough, but for a short while, if we can endure this, hopefully we'll get a better outcome.
Okay, so let me get some specific guidance in terms of what people should do. You know, so let's take 3 different scenarios. Number 1, if you test positive, what do you do?
So if you test positive, it's not everybody who tests positive who needs to be treated in hospital. So if you, assuming yours was a routine surveillance, they'll get the results, they'll call you and they'll let you know. But assuming that you went on your own, they call you, they'll still give you that, but it depends on it. So there are two things. If you are a healthy young person without any comorbidities and you test positive, chances are you'll be told to self-isolate at home. They will get a doctor to follow you. They will get a psychologist to follow you. If for any reason it is impossible for you to self-isolate at home, then there might be the option of moving you to a place. But it may not be a hospital, because you don't need to be in hospital. You just need to be monitored, follow up in your home or in the service. If you are positive, but you are much older, or you still could be young, but you have comorbidities, so you have asthma, you have diabetes, you have heart disease, you have hypertension, sickle cell, renal, kidney problem, anything that we think can infect can affect the outcome of your disease, chances are you will be admitted. You are not being admitted to hospital because you are so sick and need admission, but we know that your condition, underlying condition that you have, in combination with the COVID-19, can make your outcome worse. So you will be closely monitored. Then there are some who may even be in hospital routinely and then being monitored, and then the doctors think that, oh, we should rule out COVID-19 infection, and they test you. You are already in hospital, but if you are not in a place where they are managing it, you might be moved to a different wing. So if you take UGMC, for instance, where we are keeping patients or people with COVID-19 is different from where we are keeping, let's say, children and women and other people with other combinations, so that we know that this is the area where we are managing those who have COVID-19. And this is if you go to Ghana East, the whole of Ghana East is COVID-19 because it was new, and that was how it started. So now a lot more facilities are coming on, but what's going to happen is that most facilities will have a designated floor or building to manage the people. So when you do, call the number. If you are in hospital, it's easier, but if you are home, most of the time, whoever calls you to give you the information should be able to give you additional information regarding the next steps. If they don't, ask them.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Second scenario. You are at home and your sibling calls you and says, I've tested positive.
Your sibling?
Let's assume you're not. You've just been informed. Okay.
That's hard, but take a deep moment. Breathe. It's not a death sentence. In fact, the statistics are good, and I think the media should highlight more on that. Generally, worldwide, we'll say up to about 80% of people who get COVID-19 will get mild disease. Then percent will get moderate disease. Then up to about 5% will get serious disease, depending on the risk factors and comorbidities that I had mentioned earlier. So your sibling tests positive and calls you. You need to listen. You can say something, wow, I'm so sorry you have to go through this. How are you feeling? Let them talk to you. Don't be afraid. Don't say, don't come. I mean, the knee-jerk reaction, the reflex thing is to be afraid, and you start thinking, when was the last time I saw my sibling? When was the last time we were together? Yes, you need to go through all of that. The person needs reassurance. You can't be physically present to reassure them, but you can do a lot on phone. Help them to calm down. Find out, how are they feeling? What does that mean to them? If they are afraid, encourage them. Ask them, are you in touch with the doctors? What they have this? Your role is to support your sibling. That's the best thing you can do. And if you believe in prayers, to pray to that God himself will comfort and strengthen, because having that mindset is not easy. But don't go into panic mode. Even if you saw your sibling yesterday, two things. One may be like, why didn't you tell me you had tested when I saw you yesterday? Why did you say we should meet? I mean, the blame game is not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
He's tested positive, or she is tested positive. What are we going to do about? So the tendency to blame that maybe you should be supposed to keep social distancing. So if you met your sibling, you also had a choice. So own your part in it rather than blame.
Yeah.
And then you will have to get in touch with in fact, most of the time you'll be on their contact list if you have met within the past 7 or 14 days that they are looking at. But it is important to calm down and support your sibling. If they ask you that you need to come in, or they are coming to take your sample, it's not the end of the world. Even if you end up being positive, the odds are in your favor. And there are even those with severe diseases. There are people who have severe comorbidities who are still recovering and doing well.
Third scenario, you're again at home, because that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be at home. So you're at home, and somebody doing contact tracing calls you and says you are a contact, or you were a contact of someone who's tested positive. What do you do?
Again, calm down, take a deep breath. I really like the physically stopping and breathing in.
Take a moment, take a deep breath. Okay.
And out. Just ask the basic question. So what does it mean? Sometimes, depending on the time you're exposed, they may not test immediately because it takes time. I think the earliest, shortest period that people can show after being exposed is 2 or so. For average is about 5 days, but we still know that it can go up to 14 days. So if the contact that you've tested, the contact who has tested positive, you met the person a day or two, chances are they won't come and test you immediately. What they will tell you is to make sure that you quarantine. If you are not already doing that, they will tell you to do that. If you are in a facility or in a home where it is not possible, maybe there are 20 people in a 3 or 4 bedroom house, it's not possible for you to have a room to yourself alone, and you let them be aware. Now, I know that certain facilities are being made available for people who need to quarantine but can't do that at home. So those are the contacts who test positive. So look at the odds. The odds are still in your favor. But then also look at the worst case scenario. So you test positive. So what? It doesn't mean the end of the world. It doesn't mean the end of your life. You have to be aware that there's a lot of stigma out there. Even healthcare workers, those of us working in the facilities, are experiencing the stigma, or people distancing themselves, which is good, because it's better for you to keep away from me than next time to say, hey, I met you, we work in UGMC, you see patients with COVID and I got it from you, and all that follows. So keep calm. Ask the relevant questions, but know that it is not the end of the world. If you're so distressed and you need to talk to someone, the numbers of several psychologists are out there on social media. We also have the hotlines that you can talk to, but you can reach out to a trusted friend and it's like, it's hard though. What do I do? It is important. For those who are Christians, if you have someone you pray with, this is an opportunity to call someone to pray with. I have done that. There was one time I went to our facility and I saw a group of people, about 20 people. But at the end, something happened to my PP, and initially I was okay. But then when I was going home, it dawned on me, it's like, what have I done? Spending almost 2 hours in a PPE that was torn. I shouldn't have done that. And I began to beat myself. Then I just felt, call one of our pastors. I'm a member of ICGC, Christ Temple, but I just felt, call Prophet Ano and talk to him. So I just stopped my car and I call. And usually when I need to call, even when he's asked me to call, sometimes he doesn't, I don't always get him. But this time, after the second call, the second, ring, he picked up and I spoke with him. and he prayed with him. And I got a sense of peace. For me, it was very important to know that, yes, I did everything. Things I didn't think I had been exposed, but I said, now I told me so.
Yeah.
And I was going home, my children and all that. But having that spiritual coverage was personally very important to me. So beyond that, my friends, I'm part of a group, I just sent a message. So I knew that several people were praying with me and encouraging me.
So that's comforting.
That's just that will bring you comfort. Calling someone to pray with you, someone to speak. It is important, positive. It is not the end of the world for you.
All right.
That is so important.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those submissions. Just brilliant. I want to look at another aspect. We've had people donating buildings, facilities to say, listen, you can use this for the fight against COVID-19. And then you find that people within the community are agitating, against that. Is there... So I'm going to call on your doctor side as well as your clinical psychologist side. Okay. So is there a cause for worry? And for those who are agitating, what should they do?
There's not a cause for worry. The reason people are agitating is because of stigma and because of misinformation. COVID-19, being infected or diagnosed with COVID-19 is not the end of world. The mortality rate is still relatively low. Malaria still kills a lot more people right here in Ghana than COVID-19.
Okay.
We don't make noise about it. But when is the fear of unknown? This virus is, as I said, is still evolving. So because there is a fear of unknown and we feel that you are coming to damn people who are sick here, you don't care about it, raises several issues. So no, you realize, so Ghana East, which is, I don't know whether that is Kwabenya or Hachu, but it's in that...
it's more Kwabenya.
It's more Kwabenya, yes, because it's near Atomic. It is in a place, it's a big compound, they have the wall, living space around it, and where the people, and that's why we talk about the mode of transmission, that this one is dropless. So there's a distance within which the droplets, like, it's not like it can travel far. So you are in your house, you are even walking behind Ghana East. You are not at risk of getting the infection. That is one of the things we need to look at. So don't think that the government or they don't care about us and they think that we are at that level and that is why they are coming to put these people. We have it in the community. You may be the person who needs it. And then you would be grateful that there is such a facility you can access. So psychologically, people will resist. People are afraid, again, because of the fear of the unknown. But if you can rationalize, you tend to realize that, oh, wow, okay, it's not as bad as it is. They being here, they are being treated, they are being taken care of. The ones we should worry about are the ones out there who look like me and you, without any symptoms.
And yet they are passing it on.
Yes, they are the ones passing it on. So I think that for those communities, please embrace them. You never know the benefits. And this is a fight we all have to help. So if what that community can do is like, okay, giving you space to do this or to do that, don't see it as a negative thing. Don't stigmatize people who have been diagnosed with COVID-19. Don't stigmatize their family members. Don't stigmatize the healthcare workers, because this thing can happen to anybody. Treat people the way you would want them to treat you if you had that infection. And that will go a long way.
And I think it's important to say also that you don't have to be bad. No, but you see, this is where stigma comes from, isn't it? Where people feel as if, what did you do?
So that's why I said initially, so Ghana started with people who are travel. So there have been the bloggers. So the ordinary person on the street, if you ever saw any of the, some they mean too kind. So they thought that this was an elitist disease. Only people who have traveled outside. We have it in our communities. We have it in some of our most crowded urban communities. So it can spread to anybody. You don't have to do anything to get it. Even in diseases where you think people's lifestyle have given them, we don't allow stigma. How much more in this? So please, let's all fight stigma together. No person has done anything wrong to deserve to be diagnosed with COVID-19.
Thank you. All right, so many of you have sent messages. Let me try and race through them as quickly as possible. The very first one here is about conspiracy theories. I'll have you to touch on that briefly before we run off the show. We have Jesus. Hello, good morning. What's the government waiting for? It's starting... before it starts implementing restrictions in other regions, we have to be proactive. We also know that other regions have even weaker health systems. Please, can you ask Doc if I am HBP positive? What can I do?
HBP?
I don't know what. Yeah, HPV.
HPV?
No, HPB, that's it.
PB?
Yeah, maybe they mean HPV.
Or hepatitis B virus?
Maybe hepatitis
B virus.
I'm sure that's hepatitis B. What can I do to be negative? That's what they want to find out.
Oh, so this has nothing to do with COVID?
No, with
so
COVID.
It's been...
I think it's hepatitis B. That's probably what they mean. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on there. You can touch on it if you want to before we go. Jiva, we are not in ordinary times. This is one message coming through. It will be better if you telecast Ecuador's current situation to all Ghanaians to know what we are actually calling for. It is not about causing fear or panic. The people are not moved by this pandemic. Let's go the hard way. That's what most Ghanaians understand. I think this was in reaction to the first 30 minutes of the show when we were talking about situations around the world. And yes, it was definitely Ecuador that Jifa was referring to, when she was suggesting South America's situation. If you have those videos, you can share with some of your friends and the WhatsApp groups and so on. So that was Richie from OEB. Hello, good morning. Please, I am from Tema Community 22 and next, and it's very sad that our tap has not been flowing for the past 4 days. How are they expecting us to wash our hands? I think it's better for us to pay our bills and get our taps flowing rather than getting it free while the tap is not flowing. All right. So many more messages. So unfortunately, I can't read all of them. We ran out of time. I just want Doctor to quickly comment on conspiracy theories. The question here is, how do we handle a family member who seems so caught up with conspiracy theories and is spreading false alarm? She calls other family members who are not well educated and spreads all the rumors and non-factual information.
That's really unfortunate because it's only going to breed fear and panic. But this is what I have to say. Even if it is whatever brought COVID-19 to the world, it is here.
Yeah.
So irrespective of your beliefs in the genesis of this thing, it is here. How do we deal with it? It is real. It is not a fabrication. It is not transmitted through 5G. The disease is here. There are people who have been infected who are out there telling their stories. There are people who have recovered who are maybe we know more. We need more of such stories to bring it home. The ordinary people, the irrespective of social class. It is like it is no respecter of persons. It is affecting people from all walks of life. So please do your bit to let the person know that whatever she believes, spreading this information is not helping. It is going to make people careless because they are not going to believe in what the public health information out there is, and they are just going to take things in their hand.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Yes, and you wanted to say happy birthday to somebody?
Yes, to my girl, Dr. Angela Jamna Boaji.
Okay.
Today is her birthday.
Okay.
Angie, I love you so much. COVID-19 because I can't see you and hug you, but thank you for your support. I know that she's praying for me all the time, checking on me. But I love you. Enjoy your birthday. We'll celebrate it when it's over.
All right. Thank you. And I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Amma Edwin, who is a member of the National Expert Advisory Group on Psychosocial Issues. She is a physician, clinical psychologist, and a bioethicist as well. Thank you for watching this segment. We're going to come back, and there's going to be more interesting things with Philippa Chong. We're going to be discussing how to shoot home videos and so on, and a lot more coming up. Please don't go anywhere.
There is nothing as hard as a diamond. For buildings with superior strength that withstand all weather conditions, Diamond Cement should be your preferred choice. Locate Diamond Cement nationwide with factories in Aflao, Takrady, and Bupe. Diamond Cement, as hard as a diamond.
Extra data, extra minutes, and extra unlimited calls. Not just that, even our extra data doesn't expire. Simply dial *111# to bundle now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Imagine if you can get all the understanding on some of the difficult subjects you struggle with in school. As a student, do you feel dissatisfied with how hard it is to figure out a subject you're learning? Or as a parent or guardian, do you worry that your child is struggling to understand some of the subjects in school? Well, now you don't need to sign up for extra lessons or tutors. Simply tune in to Class Act, Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. on City TV. Class Act is a show that seeks to enable senior high school students gain a much better understanding of what they learn in school. All you need is a TV, a chair, your notebook, and your pen. Get clarity on subjects such as maths, English, IT, and science. Class Act airs every Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on City TV on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182. Don't forget your pens, pencils, and your notebooks, and tune in to Class Act only on City TV.
Mama,
Welcome back. It's Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you guys so much for staying with us. Today we'll be looking at part 2 of shooting great videos with your phone, as well as, some feedback on the COVID-19 Tracker app. Philip Kofi Ashong is host of City Trends and head of production here at City TV. Throughout our conversation, if you have any questions for him, let us know with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. And of course, he still has on his mask because we are still encouraging everyone to put on their face masks so that you don't pass it on to anyone. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Jiva. How are you?
I like your mask.
Well, thank you. I had to go through quite a bit to get it.
So struggles of getting a mask.
I know, right? It's incredible. But these are crazy difficult times, and it's very understandable why people will be so apprehensive. So I think we will start off with the most recent conversation, which is the COVID-19 or the Ghana COVID-19 Tracker app. Very interestingly, at the press conference yesterday at the Information Ministry, the word symptom was included in the name of the app, which I found very interesting because at the launch on Monday, the symptom part was not included. But I mean, basically from my assessment and from the assessment of quite a number of people, because we actually reviewed the app on City Trends yesterday, from the assessment, it's basically like a survey app, really, just asking you a number of questions. But, let's hear first of all from the communications minister, so I'm speaking at the launch of the app. We have a number of things that we'll be talking about, and I will indulge listeners to pay close attention to some of the things that she talks about and why some of the technology entrepreneurs in Ghana, software engineers, have raised questions about the app. So let's first of all hear the introduction, according to the minister, from the launch on Monday.
Okay, let's do that.
The Ghana COVID-19 Tracker app is being launched through the visionary leadership of His Excellency the President and his Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who has also joined us today through the same technology. It is one of the tools being used by the government of Ghana to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic to help keep us all safe. We need accurate data to know where the virus is and is heading towards, to be able to fight it swiftly and in the most efficient way possible, just as has been done in other affected countries around the world, such as South Korea, Taiwan, Israel, Kenya, China, and to a limited extent in Europe and the US. The app seeks everybody's assistance through crowdsourced data to collect as much information as possible to assist the Ghana Health Service to quickly identify individuals or groups of individuals at high risk of being positive for COVID-19, which may otherwise not have been discovered through using the traditional manual.
So there you have it, the Minister of Communication, Ursula Usu, telling us that the app will help, government in general track people who are high risk in a way that they won't be able to do if we don't voluntarily offer these information.
And so just as a basis of what exactly this whole thing is about, it's important that some of these things are done. We have to use technology. We have to leverage technology to be able to get to as many people as possible. Yes, the contact tracing is happening. Yes, the testing is happening. But if you can use things, simple things like Bluetooth, to ping off, places where people have been, it just makes the job a little easier. And it's commendable what the government is doing with the launch of the app. However, with everything that the minister spoke about, there are certain things that the developers of the app will have to have access to on your mobile device to be able to get the most information out of it.
What are those things?
So, I think before we get into that, let's hear about what the app can actually do, according to the minister. And then we can have a look at what it will mean for the average person who has a smartphone. So let's hear first of all some of the features as outlined by the minister.
Among the many functionalities of the COVID-19 tracker are detailed contact tracing of individuals. We're fortunate By virtue of the Executive Instrument 63, we can use a platform of all the telecoms companies. Frequent contacts by an individual can be traced through various telephone-related data. The purpose of this, for example, is when a person becomes infected, we can backward trace their contacts through telephone records and location history provided by such records. This helps provide a base to discuss contacts with a health professional so that the individual does not forget any people or locations that they may have been to. This can also serve as a guide to determine if somebody needs to be quarantined based on their contacts and locations that they have been to. The information provided can include any foreign travel, frequently called numbers, or friends of friends. As detailed above, the tracker can also provide information about people that were at the same event, same location, same country, or other defined location-based function as to where they may have spread as a group over time, so that we can follow them if indeed one of them tests positive for the virus. It can also provide information about periodic lists of telephone numbers or individuals that are currently or recently have been in certain countries around the world to the Immigration Department for possible use in determining whom to provide an extra layer of screening. This will come in handy when our ports of entry reopen, as they are bound to.
So there we have, talking about backward tracing of numbers, having access to contacts, for example, and locations, frequently called numbers, people having been to a same event or location or country, and periodic lists of people in certain jurisdictions. Now, when you download the app, and we'll be showing people, viewers, basically what it looks like when you download the app, there are just a certain set of questions: age, your sex, the country, have you traveled recently, and things like that, and then symptoms. Now, when you look at all these things that the minister is talking about, and you look at what you actually fill on the app, and the fact that on initial install, you basically approve only of location, I just wonder how the ministry is going to basically get all of this information that they're talking about, because it's quite a list. Getting access to where the person has been, which countries they've been to, if they've been in a particular location at a particular point in time.
Do they ask you all these questions?
And that's the problem. Those are not clearly spelled out. The scariest part for me was frequently called numbers, for example, which means that the app should have access to your call log before it can basically get an understanding of the people that you've had a conversation with, your contacts and locations. Once you install the app, you basically give approval for GPS tracking and then also for Bluetooth activation, just so that once you're in a place where someone who probably has indicated that they've tested positive is, you can get a signal or something that indicates that this area has been occupied by someone who has had a positive test. So for me, those were the initial things that really caught my attention. But a number of things that upon review of the app we kind of found out. First of all, the security permissions and protocols. As at this morning, at last check, once you install the app, the only permission that is approved is for location. But then there are 7 others that, eventually, hopefully, you would have to turn on to be able to access other functionalities. Now, the question is, why does the app need all of that? That has to be explained and explained thoroughly.
What are the 7 others?
I mean, there's everything from phone vibration to access to data, to contacts on the phone, access to camera. You just wonder, what does the app, which is supposed to help us to be able to tell that there's someone who has been here, who has tested positive, what does it have to do with the vibration of the phone? What does it have to do with the camera, for example? Why does it need contacts to on your phone? Why does it have to have access to certain data sets on your phone? These are some very legitimate questions, and for a lot of us within the tech space, for me as a journalist, I'm just wondering how much thought was put into the development of the app. Was there a beta testing phase of it, for example, such that for whoever developed the app, you'll be able to get a sense of, does this work, does this not work, and things like that. I'm just wondering if all of these were done. If there was beta testing of the app, which is something that typically happens with every developer or every app, I'm sure some of these questions would have been answered. It does give you a sense that the app was sort of developed in a hurry just to meet a certain deadline. But then the question is, why do you need to rush it? Because when you look globally, Apple and Google, and we have Apple doing something with CDC in the US, and we'll just show that to viewers in just a bit. But basically, Apple and CDC in the US built a similar platform. Now, the platform basically just asks you a series of questions, just like this app is supposed to do. And then it shows you, it gives you a proper breakdown of why the information is necessary in the first place, and a sense of where you belong or where you stand with regards the COVID testing. And I felt that that was a much better way of executing the thing. Now, why do you need an app? You could have easily had a web app doing the same thing, just like Apple and CDC are doing. You could have easily used USSD options
but
only.
But they do have the option
exactly.
for the
But then
USSD.
why the app? Especially because of the sort of information and data that the app is requesting to get access to. Why do you need it? Now, we also did a test in-house, basically showing how to install the app, and we're going to show that to viewers in a bit. So viewers, we're going to show you basically the process of installing the app. And then we did a test in-house, inputting information that basically, you couldn't use as well. So first of all, let's have a look at the app being installed with correct information being put in it so that you can get access to it. Let's have a quick look at that. So, Jifa, as you can see here, this is the app being installed by one of our colleagues in the office. As you can see, it's a pretty simple process. You accept terms and conditions, and then you get the download link. Now, it's also very important to note that currently you can't access this on the Google Play Store. But over here, you can see allow from this source. Now, there's a caveat under it that says that basically there might be security flaws with what you're doing, but you're still given access to the app regardless. And that, for me, is one of the things that I always advise people not to do, because you never know, what you are going to be liable for. So this is basically the app being installed. Now, this is the point where you enter your phone number and then your email address. So typically, being a good citizen, you should put in the correct phone number. So our colleague put in the correct phone number and then put in the correct email address. Obviously, we can't show those details. So basically, this is what the app will ask you. It will ask you about your health. Those are two questions you answer. You basically answer and then you move on. And very straightforward things, really. It's not, asking you about social distancing and all of that. Now, after all of this, it will basically give you, at the end, the fact that you've submitted, this is the part where you check your symptoms, for example. If you test no for all of them, you're good to go. If you test yes, whichever one it is. So this is a screen that you get after you've gone through the process. So we decided, okay, so in order for, because according to Eslo Owusu, this app is supposed to help the Ghana Health Service to get accurate information with which they are able to basically speed up the process of knowing who and in which area possibly someone might be suffering a symptom of COVID-19. So we decided, okay, so if this is supposed to help us get accurate information, then at least there should be, some measures put in place to ensure that all the information that is entered is correct. It's only fair.
Definitely.
So we decided to do a quick test. And so we're going to show you the test in a bit. And I'll walk you through the test to understand why this is such a big deal. So let's have a look at the second test that we did in-house. So this is basically the app. We decided to just come up with a random number, 022222222. I mean, if there's someone who has this number, I would really love to meet them. And then we decided to also enter a weird kind of email address, test@testing.com. Not sure if that is a legitimate one, but typically when you enter something like test@testing and it doesn't exist, you should get
some sort of a blank page that it won't allow you go.
If you enter a number, you would typically expect that, you know, you would be requested to enter a one-time PIN, which is standard, really, you know, just so that the app and the people who are controlling the back end of the app know that this is
not a valid number.
This is not a valid number, or on the other side, this is a valid number. Then the information that they're receiving on the back end is actually accurate and can be used properly to get the accurate information. But basically, we entered 022222222,
which is clearly a non-existent
and test at testing.com. But guess what happens when you click proceed? It actually gets you into the app.
Wow.
Now, we were wondering, okay, so will this take us all the way through? Guess what? It actually did. We went through the entire process. At the end, we chose some very weird answers, and it told us that we could be liable, or we could be
positive.
Okay. And then it took us all the way through to the very end.
Wow.
And for me, that's very scary, because if we go by what the minister said yesterday at the Information Ministry press conference, she actually did indicate that about 16,000 people
have already downloaded the app.
So how many of the 16,000 bits of download and information is actually accurate?
But Phil, some people can say that it's a new app. So as you're going, obviously you're going to improve upon it. You're going to pivot, if you may. Shouldn't the developers and the tech community be a bit more understanding that at least it's a locally grown app?
The thing is, it's health information. It's a global pandemic. It's killing people globally. Yes, maybe Ghana's numbers of deaths might not be that much, but it's killing millions of people globally. This is not a time to experiment, personally. Unless we want to experiment with the number of deaths and things like that. I don't think so. I think that as a government, we should be a little more responsible in how we collect data, especially having to do with health data. And this is not just health data. This is also, especially when the security is not considered properly, what you're doing is you're also giving or creating vulnerabilities for people's mobile devices. Now, if the website, for example, where you download the link from, it didn't have any security clearance.
So what does that mean for the average
person? What it means basically is that you are basically signing off a lot of the information on your mobile device. People can hack into your mobile device, can hack into and get a lot more information from you than you actually need. For a lot of people, it might not be a big deal, but it's a big deal in the long term.
And what's the global standard for?
I mean, global standard is, for typically things like that, there will be a beta testing period and things like that. One of the other things that was also worrying is, where is the information actually being stored? Because when you look at the Apple and Google, for example, and what they're trying to do, they're going to release their versions of this very soon. And this is actually why when you go onto the Google Play Store and you look for COVID-19, the only app that shows up is the WHO approved one. Because Google and Apple are trying to restrict the sort of fake news and fake information that goes out there. So my question is, why didn't the government wait? Just so that they can have an integrated platform.
Somebody might say that we're still a sovereign country.
Yes,
we can't
we are.
wait for these two companies to feel like when they want to bring something out.
From what the minister said yesterday, majority of the people are using Android devices. The platform that you've created runs on Android. If you're going to run with Android, and the people who design Android are going to release a particular platform where you can easily align and get accurate information, why don't you wait and do that? Now that's one side of it. Now the other side of it is, if you are going to open yourself up to all these vulnerabilities, what it means is that in the end you're trying to do a good thing, but then what's the rush?
So what would be your advice to perhaps a team that built the app that are watching now moving forward? What are the kinds of things they should consider to ensure that at least the security of the average Ghanaian is protected?
I think personally, I think there should have been a lot more thinking that went into the development phase. There are reasons why protocols are put in place. It's because of the protection of the average user. Most people don't go through the terms and conditions. Most people don't.
They just click agree and
and when you look at the terms and conditions, actually, it does say from the app from the developers of the app that they can easily change anything that they can easily change the terms and conditions anytime without recourse to you.
Yeah.
Now the other thing is the developers of the app, where exactly are they from?
So that's what we're looking at here.
Yes, we reserve the right at our discretion, not yours, at our discretion to modify or replace these terms and conditions from time to time. You will always be able to view the most recent version of this document by clicking terms and conditions in the app. Now that's very worrying.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know where the data is being kept. These terms and conditions can be changed at any point in time based on the person who developed it. We don't know who this developer is. Are they Ghanaian? Are they from New Jersey?
Some people are asking that question as well.
These are questions that, at least when answered properly and clearly, will allay a lot of fears within the community. And what that means is that people become more confident in using the app. But when you don't answer these questions accurately, what you basically do is you create a lot more fear. Now look at this information that you provide us. Now this app requires that you submit information to us. When you submit any information to areas to our app, you give us the consent to use, reproduce, modify, adapt, and process that information in connection with the app. And for me, for someone to be given this sort of leeway without any restrictions, where I don't even know where the information is being kept, that's kind of worrying.
Yeah.
That's kind of worrying. And I just think that a lot more could have been done in terms of the thinking process for the development of the app. So people have talked about, for example, Ghana Post GPS. Why couldn't we use Ghana Post GPS?
Okay, use this.
Why couldn't we use Ghana Post GPS?
How would we have done that?
I mean, it's an app. It's basically showing you where people live, which kind of makes sense. Because if I enter my details into Ghana Post GPS and I put in all the details, it's much easier for you to know where I actually live. Now with this other app, how does it know where exactly I live?
It doesn't give you the option to choose your location.
Exactly, but then the location is kind of general.
Okay.
Ghana Post GPS is specific to every individual. You have your address, I have my address. If this was integrated into the Ghana Post GPS, it is address specific. In case you even enter the wrong detail or something like that, then at least they'll be able to know, okay, so this person living in this place with this particular address entered the wrong details, and it's more specific.
But what I got from the minister was that this app would actually track my movements as well. So if I'm a positive case and I'm roaming about, the app would allow them see all the places I've been. Can the Ghana Post GPS do the same as well?
It can't, but at least it knows where you live. Typically, you will move around, but then you will come home. And it's easier for us to trace you and probably get a sample from you from where you stay. Now the thing is, even with all this wrong information that you can easily, if you are still moving around, the information that they're getting on the back end is wrong anyway. Let's say you are the one who put in 022222. How are they going to find you? How are they going to trace you? How are they going to find you at the end of the day to take a sample?
Mobile number is wrong.
Because the mobile number itself is wrong. But then if it was with or integrated into the Ghana Post GPS app, then they know this person lives here. Even if you enter the wrong details, it could be a genuine mistake. But at least they could know where eventually you stay, and then they could find you. And I think that if a lot more thinking had gone into the process of the app or the processing of the app, the design thinking process, I think that we could have ended up with a much better app. If beta testing, for example, had been done with this particular app, I think we'd have ended up with something a little more legitimate, a little more good enough for us to use. I think in its current iteration, as it stands now, I really don't think that it serves its purpose. But like you said, this is the very first version of it. There might be an update later on based on feedback and based on everything to make it better. But as it stands now, I personally think that it's very dangerous for people to use it because there are too many vulnerabilities and there are too many things that people might unknowingly give away in terms of information. So one of the other things that I also found very interesting was how the app, you would have to go to an external website. As I indicated, this external website is actually not secure. So, someone could basically create a mirror website where they could put a fake version of the application there. You download it, it could be malware, it could, access information that the app shouldn't have access. Anything is possible if only you know your way around it.
Definitely.
If you create a mirror site, You can do anything with a mirror site. So many different people will not pay attention to, all they need is send me a link. If I am someone who wants to hack into your phone, I can send you a fake link. And basically, I get access to your device. And some of these things, I think that the government should think very, very critically about, especially because of the times we are in.
Yeah.
Yes, you want information. Yes, you want to close down the numbers in terms of infections and deaths. But you have to be very, very responsible with people's health information and people's data.
I completely agree. And we did tell you in the beginning that we're going to do part 2 of shooting with your phones, but this mobile app conversation has gone off, and it's really important because a lot of us are downloading this app now, and we need to know the risks involved with downloading the app. Now, I have received some of your messages about the photography segment, so I'll read that, and hopefully Phil can answer them for you.
Absolutely.
So one question says, hello, so please, how do I join these 2 videos and pictures? Which software can I use? So I think they may have 2 different videos. How do they combine videos and pictures?
To the viewer who sent that in, I actually saw the video, and we're going to actually show you how to do it. Now, the easiest option is to use InShot. It's an app that you can download. Also, I personally will advocate for you to use KineMaster. KineMaster. That's KineMaster.
Okay.
So there's InShot, that is INSHOT. And there's KineMaster, that is KineMaster. My personal advice is start off with InShot. The more you use it, the more familiar you become with the controls, then you can graduate to KineMaster. I like KineMaster because it offers you a lot more options in terms of multi-layered editing, as compared to KineMaster, which is basically just one line of editing. So I would advocate that you use InShot for now. It gives you a lot of transitions. So you have 2 videos. You just want to link the 2 videos nicely with some nice transition. Make it look a little sexy. So you can start with InShot. So let's look for InShot either on the Apple Play Store or the Google Play Store or the App Store, and then just download it and use it. You're good to go.
Excellent. And I have some more messages about the Tracker app. Good morning. This app to me is like a survey app rather than Tracker app. I was expecting something better than this. Another comment said, what's the essence of solving an immediate problem now and exposing your citizens to a serious data issue later? This app is below standard. Please, there are IT gurus in Ghana to help fix this. So hopefully the people who developed this app are listening and will take all this into consideration and perhaps pivot the app into something that we can all use and be safe, where our privacy will be protected. Thank you so much, Philip.
And just a quick one before I go. So yesterday on City Trends, this was actually one of the topics that we treated. We spoke to a cybersecurity professional, and so just head on to any of the podcast platforms and take a listen to the detailed breakdown from a cybersecurity point of view. Just so
thank you at home for staying. Don't go anywhere. Breakfast Daily will be right back.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves right here on Footprints.
So we go to someone we were put in our various cells, and then someone you have it's a huge prison. And then it was then that it dawned on me that I was really in big trouble.
Do you think that the overthrow of Liman was justified?
I think that with hindsight, there was no justification.
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to those outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through the capsule of time.
Because of my upbringing, my mother, my father, they are, Christianity.
Yeah.
So because of that,
strong hands at home.
Even though I'm the guy smoking, doing all kinds of that, I've never tried.
You've never tried?
No, never tried weed or anything. Nothing.
You've never tried weed?
Even drinking, alcohol, no.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. only on City TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you. 30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
All right, welcome back. And we're going to be speaking this morning on this segment with the president of Academic City University and University College. And he's the president of the university. He's called Fred Baganluri. He is a professor and a doctor. And he's an inventor with no equal, basically. Good morning, Professor Baganluri.
Good morning, Beku.
How are you?
Not too bad.
Okay.
It's another day.
Yeah. So we're going to get right into the conversation about what it is that you're doing right now to help the fight against COVID-19. What is it that's sparked your interest in building ventilators?
Well, so, after the president's directives that we stay at home, it was obvious that globally, even the most advanced nations were struggling with their stockpiles of ventilators. And given the obvious dangers associated with not having these in their hospitals, we started wondering whether, we could take the technologies as it is today and kind of strip it down for our environment. So essentially, it's a response to the national interest to figure out how we prepare when this pandemic eventually hits in full force.
Yeah. All right. So you took to Facebook and you said, are you an automation or controls engineer? Do you have experience designing pneumatic circuits? The Local Vent for Africa project at Academic City University College could use your help. Can you reach out to me? And then you gave your details and so on. Then again, an hour later, then you said, I'm looking for 10 volunteer innovators who will like to join the challenge to design low-cost ventilators to support COVID-19. It doesn't matter where you're located. Qualification doesn't matter. The more hands-on, go-getter, team spirit you have, the better. If you're interested or know someone who's determined to be at the forefront of innovation, reach out. Now, what I'm curious about is, you said here that qualification doesn't matter.
Yes.
How come?
Actually, the two messages went in the reverse order. The first was a call out.
Okay.
The second was basically when we started and started looking at the technical challenges, we needed some specialized skills. So I sent out a second call.
Okay.
I said qualification wasn't important because, in times of national emergency, you just have to look at people who have the skill set. And in most of the time in these technical spaces, you have people that have had lots of hands-on experience, like mechanics.
Yeah.
For instance, we have a mechanic guy on the team who I've known for a very long time. He can rebuild any type of engine you want.
Okay.
But he has technical certificate, he went to a technical school. So I just wanted to call out specifically to people like that, welders, mechanics who are hands-on and are able to resuscitate some of the people on the roads today. And this project is about resuscitation in the nutshell. So I just thought, I didn't want to limit anybody. And I was interested in people that can do marketing. I was interested in people who were salespeople and have some knowledge how medical equipment and devices kind of play. So I didn't want to limit the level of creativity required to address this issue.
Okay. So how easy or how quickly did you put together your first prototype?
In less than a week. In less than a week, we had a prototype. We had some volunteers from the medical devices space that came in. And then I had a couple of second-year engineering students in electrical, computer, and mechanical who stood up to the challenge.
Okay. Okay. So it seems like people heeded to the call. And were you overwhelmed with numbers, or do you have just enough to work with?
I was overwhelmed. I'm still getting requests to join.
Oh, wow.
I actually have a Ghanaian student, a graduate student in the UK who joined online. I had a Ghanaian professional from Richardson, Texas, who joined online.
I see.
Procurement person. I've received offers from non-Ghanaians from the UK, from the United States. So I was actually overwhelmed. I mean, I think I was looking for 10. I probably got about 100 people volunteering for this class.
Oh, wow. I see. Now, you do mention that you're looking to produce low-cost ventilators. Now, we know that ventilators can cost anything in the, upwards of $40,000 and so on. First of all, I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous and say I know why you're choosing to do low cost, but why are you choosing to do low cost?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the prices, as you indicated, these things are very, very expensive. But the basic functionality is the same.
Okay.
How do you deliver air or oxygen to a distressed lung? How do you provide assistive ventilation? And so the complexity that you see in hospitals is the fact that these institutions have the technological wherewithal to add all the whistles and bells. They have to go through rigorous FDA approvals. They have to position themselves against competition. And so every year you see new systems will come up with all the whistles and bells. But the fundamental function is really to deliver air in a regulated manner to a distressed lung. And so if you strip off all the pageantry and you can get to the baseline equipment that can provide the same level of relief to the patient, you could call that low cost.
Okay.
We have also sourced out mechanisms such as a windshield wiper. We actually harvested a windshield wiper motor and used that to drive one of our mechanisms. One of the compressors that we designed was made from local leather as well. So just trying to figure out what is readily available that we can grab our hands on is really what would make this a low-cost product.
Okay. So when you say low cost, give us a sense of how much, at the end of the day, when it's ready for the market, how much will one cost?
So we're looking at a low end of about 1,000 CDs.
1,000
and a
CDs?
high end of about 5,000 CDs.
Okay. Well, I mean, relative to what's on the international market with the regular ventilators, it's really, really, really affordable. Are you looking beyond COVID-19 already to a market for these ventilators?
Yeah. So look, we are looking across the complete medical devices space. I spent 16 years of my professional life in that space. And, I like the fact that we are reacting to COVID in the way that we are. And we are not the only team in town that is looking to provide this relief. Okay. And I will take this opportunity to say anybody else that is working on a ventilator, you are more than welcome to join us, because together we can produce something that is more robust, more concrete for the marketplace. This is no time to seclude. And that is why I called out to the general public. But I think that whole space is very, very rich for the developing world. I mean, from hospital beds, which we continue to buy, from X-ray machines that we continue to buy, from even syringes and disposables that we continue to import. I just think that the restrictions that the advanced countries have placed on medical devices export is a clear warning to us that we need to be ready, we need to prepare, and that it doesn't really take much. And that is why I was so specific about the level of expertise that I was looking for my project. We don't need all advanced degrees to do these things. We just have to start acting.
Yeah. Now, one thing, I actually watched your interview with Bernard Avler, my colleague. And what I found fascinating was the apparent ease with which you come up with these ideas to your inventions. How many patents do you have in your name so far?
I think at the last count, I had 22 issued U.S. patents.
Okay.
And I think I have a little bit more than 20 more pending.
I see. And so just help us to understand the mindset. Do you wait for problems to come and then you come up with ideas, or you're on the hunt, for ideas of new things to create?
I think every single day I get a new idea of something that could be done. When I teach students about innovation, the first thing I tell them to do is just take a look at your grandmother or your grandfather and just watch them, follow them around for half a day. And then you can come back and tell me if you can't find something that will make their lives a whole lot easier.
Wow.
When grandma or grandpa is trying to get out of a chair and they're holding their waist, that tells you that there's an opportunity for an assistive device that can help them stand up. And so even if you put kindergarten kids, you tell KG kids to go home and study grammar, they'll come back with a long list of stuff that will amaze you. And so there is an inventor in everybody.
Okay.
The challenge is, just as there is a writer in everybody, how enthusiastic are you about really getting pen to paper or transforming your ideas into products and services?
Now, you make it sound easy. Why are we not all inventors? I know you're saying that transferring, going from the writer in every one of us to actually putting a book together is difficult to cross that bridge.
Well, I think we just have the mindset that inventors are a special breed of people that have been divinely inspired. So that is one of the mental blocks that we cannot have, and it's perhaps cultural. I think what is particularly worrying is that our kids grow up believing that the best inventions, the greatest things that can happen to society, has to be foreign.
Yeah.
I think the third thing that impedes creativity in our environment is that sense of expediency, that when we want something, we just have to go to China and get it. We can't wait. We can't wait for our inventors to come up with something. I think the fourth, which is particularly worrying, is that our universities and colleges are completely disjointed from our national aspirations. And let me explain this for clarity. If energy or access to energy is one of the most compelling developmental issues we have in this country, then it will be prudent to invest heavily in research in that regard.
Yeah.
If we are the best number one, number two cocoa producing country in the world, then we should be the best place in the world anybody should go to for cocoa or chocolate.
Yeah.
Or anything related to that.
Yeah.
So there's a fundamental disjoint in our psyche, about what our developmental aspirations are and the kind of educational system we lend to it. And so we find ourselves in this tail-chasing exercise when we have national emergencies and we don't seem to have solutions, or we don't even have the courage to step up to address them.
Now, give us a sense of how far along you are with how many more days, weeks, months before we get a fully functional ventilator that is ready for a hospital next door?
Hospital. So we have about 4 concepts right now that we have put together. And one of the processes we went through was also rebuilding some of the ones you've seen that went viral. We rebuilt it just to boost that confidence in the students.
Yeah.
And then we built 3 systems for ourselves. So we have a total of about 5 concepts. In product development, you call these prototypes.
Okay.
Functional prototypes, which means we can actually start testing them. We are at a point where we need to go out there and source medical-grade components, you know. And as you can tell, most of the places are shut down right now.
Yeah.
So if we had resources, if one of our listeners was to step up and say, guys, you know, here's 10,000 CDs, go to Alibaba and get some components for this exercise, I can assure you that in the next 2 weeks, you know, we could have something that you can actually put into a patient.
I see. So it sounds like where we are right now, it's just financing that's, you know, the roadblock.
Yeah, financing is one of the challenges. And obviously there are regulatory constraints also for a device like this to be inserted into a patient. You need a minimum level of testing and data to show the FDA or the GSA to get green light. But I think in the event of a national emergency, that part there are workarounds in that regard. This is not such a complicated device, you know, that will require too much rigor into trying to test it. But we are at a point where we can use some financing. Up until now, I have spent my own resources trying to maintain the guys by Pros Energy, you know, reach out, supported the team with lunch. And that is so inspirational. It's just amazing how Ghanaians function together in times of crisis.
Yeah. All right. So looking at the plan to roll out, you know, as soon as possible, how do people reach you if people are watching? They want to, you know, spend some money, donate, and so on. How do people get to you?
Yeah, so they can reach me on my phone at 055 763 7149. Again, 055 763 7149.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to visit and see what we are doing, so you are more than welcome to our campus.
Okay. And where is your campus specifically for those who don't know? Hello?
To transition, funeral.
Yeah. All right. So, Academic City.
Yeah. Keep going straight on Causeway. The university will be on your right.
All right. We lost. We had a break in transmission there. If you can help us to just go through that again from transitions.
Okay. Yes, from transitions, coming from the Medina direction, you will make a right, right in front of transition.
Okay.
And just keep coming until you see the university tower. It's about 1.5 miles from that junction.
Okay.
If you're coming from the Medina direction, you can go on Agboba intersection and just continue on that road. It's called Causeway. The university would be on your right as well.
Okay.
So those are the 2 entry points to our university.
How much hope do you have for our fight against COVID-19?
That's a tricky question. You know, let me just say that I am happy so far with the proactive measures that we have put in place. I think that will avert a catastrophe. Now, what worries me is what happens after.
Yeah.
What happens to their lives? We can't keep up forever. The economy will collapse. Okay. So what measures are we going to put in place to facilitate that? that is what is worrisome. But I think that the reaction so far by the government and even some of the guidance from the opposition parties has been quite useful. But I think we should all psych ourselves up for the post-quarantine period.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that we are learning new lifestyles, social distancing, people wearing masks.
Yeah.
We should just psych ourselves for a long run because this is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Fred Magbagon-Luri, for speaking to us here on Breakfast Daily. It's been a real honor, and keep up the good work. Keep bringing in the inventions. We hope to see the ventilators in our hospitals as soon as possible, and so that instead of talking about 67 officially ventilators within our hospitals, we can be talking about thousands of them, so that, yes, we help to ramp up the health system. Thank you very much. Well, we've been speaking with Professor Magbagon-Luri. He is the president of Academic City University College. Thank you very much for watching Breakfast Daily. Remember to wear your masks when you step out. Remember to hand sanitize with alcohol-based sanitizers. But more importantly, washing regularly your hands, 20 seconds with lather and water underwater. Okay, it's very, very important. All right. Now, also, don't forget that if you missed any parts of the show today, CityTube is where you can go back and watch. Like, comment, and share with your friends. All right. We will be telecasting the vetting of Dr. Bernard Okoboy as the Deputy Minister of Health designate. So we'll be televising that. My name is David Kwekusechi. I started the show with Jifa, and we'll see you same time tomorrow, God willing. Take care.